All right, welcome everyone, and go ahead and grab a seat. Think of today's explainer as a full-on masterclass. I'm your host, but today I'll be stepping into the role of your professor as we take a really deep dive into the etiquette and mechanics of e-correspondence. We're here because, honestly, the stakes for digital communication have never been higher. A single poorly formatted message can completely ruin your professional reputation before you even get the chance to shake a client's hand. Whether you're sending a formal request to a vendor or just a quick update to a colleague, the digital world has its own unique language, strict protocols, and unforgiving mechanics. So by the end of our time together, you're going to have a complete structural understanding of how to communicate professionally and effectively in this environment. So let's kick things off with a pretty prescient thought from Bill Gates. He once said, "The internet is becoming the town square for the global village of tomorrow." I want you to truly pause and ponder the implications of that for a moment. Historically, a traditional town square was a physical place, right in the middle of a village, where people met, talked, and did business. In that physical square, people could look at your body language, your posture, and your attire to judge your professionalism. Well, today, that square is entirely digital. In this digital square, your words, your grammar, and your formatting, that is your attire. It's a fundamental shift, and it completely changes how we have to approach our interactions. Here is our roadmap for today's syllabus. First up, the digital town square. Second, decoding network jargon. Third, the anatomy of an email. Fourth, writing business emails. And finally, modern e-communication trends. Let's get into it. Section 1. The digital town square. 481 million. To put that into perspective, that was the staggering number of internet users in India alone back in December of 2017. At the time, that represented roughly 35% of the country's entire population. This global shift toward digital mediums has been rapid, massive, and let's face it, entirely irreversible. Today, hundreds of millions of messages flow in and out of global organizations on a daily basis. The sheer scale of this communication is breathtaking, which is exactly why standardizing the way we write and send information is absolutely critical to modern commerce. Okay, time for a quick pop quiz to test your foundational knowledge before we go any further. Think back to basic web architecture. What specific digital system connects websites around the globe so that information stored on one address can be seamlessly accessed by thousands of others? Hold that answer in your head for just a second. If you guessed the World Wide Web, you hit the nail on the head. Moving right along into Section 2, decoding network jargon. Literally every single second, millions of messages are seamlessly flying from one place to another. This incredibly complex process happens through communication and telephone networks formed by satellite links, which we all collectively call the internet. Now, why does understanding this invisible web actually matter to you? Because this technology routes professional correspondence across the entire globe in milliseconds. As a direct result, the baseline expectation for professional responsiveness has permanently skyrocketed. You're no longer just competing with local businesses. You are operating on a real-time, global clock. Now, to address our first progress check, we really need to clarify two highly common networking acronyms. A local area network, or LAN, is used for networking within a limited, confined area. Think of a LAN like the internal router that seamlessly connects all the printers and computers on your specific office floor. However, if your messages need to be routed outside of those local workstations to the broader world, the networking you're using is a wide area network, or WAN. That's the vast infrastructure allowing you to instantly email a client over in Tokyo. Understanding this distinction between your LAN and your WAN is foundational IT knowledge for literally any competent professional. Let's put our professor hats on and use the Socratic method again to check your progress. We all encounter various file types and web addresses constantly throughout the workday. But do you actually know what the letters stand for? Try to mentally match the acronyms PDF, C2B, .edu, and .jpg to their real meanings. Let's see how well you truly know the digital vocabulary you use every day. All right, let's review those answers together. PDF stands for Portable Document Format. This is absolutely crucial because it allows a document to be universally opened on any computer without losing its formatting. C2B is Consumer to Business, which describes online transactions where a customer deals directly with a company. A .edu domain specifically denotes an educational institute. And that .jpg, it's simply a photograph file. But think about the practical application here. Sending a professional resume as a .jpg photograph file instead of a .pdf document? Yeah, that is an instant disqualifier in the corporate world.
We also have .com for commercial organizations and B2B for business-to-business activities. Mastering these terms ensures you're never caught off guard in digital translation.
Which brings us to Section 3, Anatomy of an Email. It's kind of wild to look back at the origins of our digital tools. Email wasn't always called email. Back in the 1960s, it was known by this incredibly clunky, bureaucratic name, Computer-Based Messaging System, or CBMS. You can imagine how terribly that acronym rolled off the tongue. It wasn't until 1974 that the trademark for electronic mail was officially registered. Branding matters, even in tech, and that shift in naming really set the stage for the massive communication revolution we rely on today. And right at the center of that revolution is a single iconic character. The @ symbol literally stands for "at the rate of." It's a fascinating quirk of history that a symbol originally used strictly for accounting somehow became the very center of global communication. In an email address, it elegantly separates the user's identification code from their service provider. And because of the absolute lightning speed made possible by this system, traditional physical letters delivered by a postman are now jokingly referred to in the tech world as snail mail. Mechanically speaking, sending an email follows a very strict step-by-step procedure. First, you log in with your credentials. Second, you compose the mail. Third, you add your recipients. Fourth, you add a clear subject. Fifth, you attach your files. And finally, you draft your message and hit send. It sounds basic, right? But I want to frame this around the pitfalls. Forgetting step 5, the attachment, before excitedly rushing into step 6 is a universal professional embarrassment. We've all been there. Skipping or rushing any of these mechanical steps is exactly where costly errors happen. Let's dig into those recipient fields and folders a bit more, as this directly answers several common comprehension questions from our texts. CC stands for carbon copy, which is utilized when you want others to passively see the correspondence. But BCC, blind carbon copy, that is arguably your most critical privacy tool. You use this when messaging multiple people while needing to strictly hide their identities from one another. Misusing CC instead of BCC when emailing a large list of clients is not just a simple oops, it's a severe breach of data etiquette that can instantly erode trust. Furthermore, your draft folder saves incomplete emails automatically for you. Spam or junk catches all that unwanted advertising, and of course, trash holds your deleted messages. So, why did business entirely abandon snail mail for the digital alternative? We have to understand these core advantages as the fundamental bedrock of modern global scale. Drafting is so much easier thanks to ready-made templates. Automation actively reduces our incidence of human error. We get the instant transfer of information, which saves incredibly valuable time. New data devices give us massive storage space, literally eliminating entire rooms full of physical filing cabinets. And overall, it is incredibly cost-effective. These interconnected features are exactly what allow modern corporations to operate at their current blistering pace. Let's shift gears to Section 4, Writing Business Emails. Let's evaluate exactly how this builds in practice. We aren't just looking at bad grammar here. We are analyzing the resulting impression. Look at the poorly structured example. It signals to a hiring manager or a client that the sender is lazy, disorganized, and completely lacks attention to detail. It reads like a quick text message you'd fire off to a friend. The structured example, however, commands immediate respect. It starts with a formal "Dear Sir/Madam," uses clean bullet points to clearly list competencies, and ends with a proper "Yours faithfully." It visually tells the reader that you actually value their time. Here are your foundational, absolute non-negotiable rules for formatting. Always start with a proper salutation. Remember the golden acronym KISS. Keep it short and simple. Divide your email into 2 to 4 short paragraphs, ensuring each paragraph deals with a single idea. And here's a pro tip: use a double line break between paragraphs rather than an indent. Why? Because in business, your reader is busy, and dense blocks of text cause immediate cognitive overload. White space is your friend. And, as we just saw, use bullet points for extra clarity when listing items or steps. Under no circumstances should you ever use informal SMS language or excessive emojis in professional settings. And the grammatical necessities? They are an absolute requirement. Never write a whole sentence in capitals. It translates purely as shouting at your recipient. You must, however, always capitalize acronyms like BBC or UNESCO, and always capitalize the letter I. When signing off, use "yours sincerely" or "yours faithfully" for very formal emails like job applications, and "best regards" for semi-formal daily correspondence. Now, here is a specific grammatical necessity, and frankly, a major pet peeve of many professionals. Never use the phrase "thanking you." It's grammatically incorrect, it's a widespread relic of older colonial-era correspondence, and it simply has no place in modern streamlined business communication. Just right, thank you. Lastly, always append a proper signature block with your contact details. We really need to focus intently on the single most critical line of text you will ever type, this subject line. This is the ultimate gatekeeper to your recipient's attention. Subject lines appear prominently in the inbox and determine in a fraction of a second whether your email is opened immediately, filed away for later, or completely ignored. It has to indicate clearly, specifically, but briefly, exactly what the email is about. For example, request for meeting on Friday, or follow up on marketing decision. A vague subject line is quite literally a guaranteed way to stall a professional relationship. Finally, we arrive at Section 5, Modern E-Communication Trends. Applications like WhatsApp are now heavily used for quick professional communication. But make no mistake, they require strict business etiquette too. There's a psychological reason for this strictness. Because these apps live on our personal phones right next to casual chats with our family and friends, the boundaries easily blur. Professionals must actively enforce a formal tone. Number your points instead of sending a massive wall of text. Mention specific names in group chats so people know exactly who the message is for. Ensure your real name is visible as the sender. Absolutely no quirky nicknames. And strictly avoid exchanging casual personal messages in professional chat groups. So we've comprehensively covered the mechanics, the history, the vocabulary, and the strict etiquette required for modern digital communication. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to conclude our masterclass today. Take a close look at your own send folder when you are done here. Is your e-correspondence truly reflecting your best, most capable professional self? Or are you letting informal, lazy habits slip into your digital town square? Apply these skills, tighten up those mechanics, command respect in every single message you send, and just watch how the professional world responds to you. Class dismissed.